Tribute to Peter Brown, 22nd of August 1926 to 17th December 2022. A packed St Clement Danes, the central church of the Royal Air Force for Flight Sergeant Peter Brown, World War II veteran, Royal Air Force. Friends, neighbours, family, and others believed to be family members were among hundreds of mourners to join the final farewell to one of their last aircrews of the Caribbean World War II at a moving RAF church ceremony. Flight Sergeant Peter Brown, originally from Jamaica, died before Christmas, aged 96, at the home he had lived in Warrington Crescent, Maida Vale, for 50 years. The full military send-off in the St Clement Danes Church had to be booked after a council-founded crematorium service in Mortlake was judged too small to hold the crowds. Peter, who died alone at his home, was due to be given a so-called pauper's funeral without full military honours. Many individuals and the Maida Vale followed up on a story leading to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak calling for a fitting service given his wartime heroism. Speaking at the service, a neighbour of Mr. Brown and a former deputy leader of the council told the service about a quiet man who loved cricket, whiskey with ginger ale, cheese and onion crisps, and a dairy milk chocolate bar from his favourite shop. He said conversation would only last for as long as he wanted to. He was proud and dignified, but hard to help. I recall frequent conversation about what we could do to help, but we had to respect what he would accept. He had an old-fashioned charm. He dressed in clothes that had seen better days, but he always looked snappy. I'm not sure what he would say about it all, but I think he would have complained about all the fuss. I'd have said to him, "Be quiet, Peter. You gave us everything, and no one can thank you more." R.I.P. What a man. Several celebrities were also at the service, including Batman Begins and Outlander actor Colin McFarlane, Top Boy star Michael Ward, and Trevor Michael Georges, who plays Ed Bailey in Carnation Street. Reverend Mark Perry from the RAF told the service that in May 1941, St Clement Danes in the Strand, the central church of the RAF, had been hit by an incendiary bomb. Considered the spiritual home of the RAF, it had been restored following a worldwide appeal and reconsecrated in a visit by Elizabeth II. A poem was read out about how heroism come in all shapes and sizes and how his life was ending in a final flight through adversity to the stars. Reverend Ruth Hake said Mr. Brown's purpose was to protect this country from invasion and help to regain peace in the world, adding, but 17-year-old Peter Brown didn't know that. The willingness to put his life on the line on behalf of this nation is a debt that all of us who have certainly lived our lives in freedom in this country have to honour. Singer Marella Simpson, who did 3 tours of Iraq and is now in a wheelchair, said she was pleased to see female veterans like herself and who look like me here today. She sang a song about sparrows and recalled her own experience of war, adding, "That song is the only thing that kept me alive when I was blown up in Iraq. I know how it feels to want to die or not. I have surgery coming up that will let me make my first couple of steps in the last 15 years. So God has been good." A sensational farewell service befitting a veteran. In the belief that there is life after death, I can imagine Flight Sergeant Peter Brown looking down in pride at the honour that was bestowed upon him today, 25th of May 2023, in what can only be described as a phenomenal farewell service. Tributes were delivered eloquently It was nice to see many members of the public, comrades from Royal Air Force family, supported by various other military families, including Air Chief Marshal, Chief of the Air Staff, the Royal Air Force Regiment, standard bearers from various organizations, including the Forgotten Generations, West Indian Association of Service Personnel, and the Royal British Legion. There were representatives from the RAFA Central London branch, RAFA Jamaica branch, unofficial representatives from the Government of Jamaica, and other West Indian community members in attendance. Westminster Council are to be congratulated for pulling out all stops to ensure that everything went very well, and for providing refreshments at Westminster City Hall, where we socialized, reminisced, fraternized, and networked. A very small selected number of people were invited to the burial place, believed to be only very close friends and neighbours of Peter Brown, to witness Peter's final resting place. One close friend, Sam Hamilton, wrote, "Peter and I had a close and very special relationship. It felt like what a grandfather-granddaughter relationship would feel like. I never had a relationship with my paternal grandfather on my Caribbean side, so this was lovely for both Peter, who didn't have children and grandchildren, and myself to find each other in this way, living in the same house together for over a decade. Many grandfathers and granddaughters would not have this pleasure of living so closely together. Therefore, it was like a lifelong relationship, all squeezed into 15 years. I was protected over Peter, as he was over me, and he would check up on me much as I would check up on him. Peter was a charming man, private and very dignified, a man of pride, extremely humble, and a man with a dapper style of dress, a real gentleman. I was, and am still proud to call him my friend who felt like family. I treasure our memories together, our laughs, our moans, highs and lows, our annual birthday tradition, and just the simple day-to-day banter and hanging out with Peter. Rest in perfect peace, Mr. Peter Brown." Another close friend, Paul Newman, stated, "I often wonder if the spotlight had been shone on Peter in his life in much the same way as it was in his death, how Peter would have handled it. Peter was such a modest and private man, I think it would have been quite difficult for him." The day of his funeral were two different worlds. The service at St Clement Danes, indeed a moving and fitting tribute to Peter, the generation that he represented. Then followed the private burial, attended only by very few people, Peter's closest friends. An altogether different ceremony, but this was the Peter we knew. And I think Peter would have been looking down on us thinking, that's more like it. R.I.P. Peter, lest we forget.
'Cause everything else can wait. I'm here for you. I want to